You been to Norwich?
No, I haven't actually been out of
Oh,
Scotland.
gotta go. No, I know you're living in Scotland, but you gotta go
Yeah,
down. You gotta go down to Norwich. I mean, it's
yeah.
a really it really is worth. It's a wonder. It's just a wonderful place to go. So
Mm,
much to do. Beautiful. People are so kind. Really accommodating of blind people. Really understanding. University is great. Yeah.
mhm.
So are you from Glasgow, Edinburgh? What part of Scotland?
Yeah, I'm not far from Glasgow.
Okay, fine, fine.
Yep.
And what can you tell our listeners about Glasgow? I've never been there. What can you tell us about that?
Um, not very much to be fair. It's a big city.
Well,
It's
well, I mean, the good news is I've never been, so anything you say, I'm going to believe. So if you don't know what
yeah.
to say, just make something up.
There's not really much to tell about it. To be fair, it's
Okay.
a big city. It's got a lot of tourists. A lot of people from all over the world come to Glasgow and um, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's not really there's not really much to tell about it.
Hmm.
It's got quite a lot of it's got a transport museum, um,
What's that? What is a transport museum?
a transport museum. It's got all the old fashioned cars, the old fashioned buses,
Oh, okay.
all the
I
old fashioned
love,
bicycles,
I love history. Love
all that
talking
kind
about
of stuff.
archaeology. I
Mm,
love archaeology, history, artifacts. Oh, I would go. Ooh, I'm
hmm
going there. Next time, if I go to Scotland, I'm going to make a note of that. There's some old fancy museum there. Wow, really
hmm
good.
Yep, it's got
That would fascinate me. Mm-hmm.
the things that date back to like Victorian era, and
Hmm.
yep, it is quite interesting if that's what you're into.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is. But apart from that, really, it's not. It's just got lots of shops and all that kind of thing. It's
Mm-hmm.
nothing, nothing really too
Yeah. And,
exciting.
and do people in Glasgow, do you live in flats, or is it more like high rise, or how are the flats set up there in that city?
Well, in Glasgow, it is mostly all kinds of high-rise flats. Um, yeah, it is pretty much all high-rise flats in Glasgow, especially around the kind of city centre. Um, yeah,
Well, excellent. Good. Good. And where have you traveled to outside of Scotland?
So yeah, I've travelled a wee bit. I've travelled like to Ireland, been there a couple of times. Um, been to Spain, different parts of Spain. And I quite recently travelled to Austria, Vienna.
Mm-hmm.
I travelled there, um, visited some lovely like castles and all that kind of stuff while I was there, and some really really nice sights. Um, but yeah, I've been about quite a few places in that.
Excellent. Great. Yeah, I've been to England, France 3 times because my second language is French. I've been to Austria too. Yeah, Austria is cool, but you really have to speak German. And if you cannot speak German there's not much to do.
Mm,
But it's still a very nice place. Though. It's still a lovely city. Yeah, I went to Vienna.
hmm
Poland is cool. Poland is a really interesting country. Amsterdam is great too. You want a great city for a vacation? Amsterdam is certainly worth it. Czech Republic is good. Yeah. hmm
mm. You've been around quite a lot.
Thank you. I've been
Yeah.
to the furthest I've really been was Swaziland. And I've even been to a country in the Caribbean called St. Lucia.
Mm.
I did some volunteering work many years ago down there, helping the blind people at their Blind Welfare Association. It was back in 14-ish. Yeah, yeah. So that is all really, really, really interesting. All right. So can you tell us a little bit more about your job that you're doing right now?
Sure.
Yeah.
So, as I said, I am a support worker for two guys that are deaf blind. So they are totally deaf and totally blind at the same time. And it's basically just helping them with their daily living. Like getting them up in the morning, getting them showered and dressed, and then helping them make their breakfast. And sometimes we'll go out for dinners and go out for meals and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, okay. Well, that's really important.
Yeah.
And how do you know from day to day? Do they text you and let you know what they would like to accomplish that day? How do you know what to work with them on?
No, you just kind of have to because they have no form of communication at all. It is quite difficult, to try and understand how they're feeling or what they would want, But it is quite difficult. But they do a lot of hand over hand. So that's where, say for instance, one of them wants to make a cup of tea. He would go and prepare his tea and get his tea bag and get his kettle and put the kettle on. But what would happen then is once the kettle's been boiled, I would put my hand on the kettle and he puts his hand on top of mine, so he can feel the motions of the kettle and the water getting poured into the tea. We do a lot of that kind of stuff with them. So that way they understand what's going on and they can still get involved, It's all about having that wee bit of independence and definitely getting involved and
So
doing stuff.
so good. Yeah, in the UK, I love that how you have those white kettles for boiling water. I mean, we can
Yeah.
have that in the States, but we just don't. Americans don't never really picked up on that. It's a really useful way of boiling water. It's just a culture thing. Americans never caught on to it for some reason. Wish they had, because it's a really good idea. I recall, I have very fond memories of my flat at University of East Anglia, and I had a kettle right there on my desk. It was the best thing. You can just crawl out of bed and just have a quick cup of coffee right there. It's just amazing, But no, in America we have to walk all the way downstairs and sit down and use a Keurig machine or brew coffee. It's more of a labor intensive process.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I see. Well, that's really really good. So how do you our listeners at home are going to be wondering, well, how do you manage all of this? And I'm asking for the listener. They would probably ask, well, how does Connor manage this as a blind person?
Yeah. As a bit ironic, but I have a lot of support with my work, my colleagues are obviously aware that I do struggle to see certain things, although I do have vision, it's not the best. I can't read off paper, some things that I can't see. But as I said, I've got a really good support team behind me, and if I need anything or any assistance, with my job or anything like that, all I have to do is go and say to them, and they will give me that bit of help and that wee bit of reassurance, because there's some things that I just can't do at my work. For example, sometimes the guys maybe have a couple of bruises on them, and sometimes I can't see that. If they have marks on their body or bruising, I can't always see it, so I always have to say to another member of staff, could you come and look to see if they've got any markings, any bruises, all that kind of stuff. So there's always kind of extra help there on hand if I need to ask, so I'm quite lucky in that sense that I have a really good understanding team round about me, that are really helpful.
Hmm. Really excellent. Yeah. And so how does that work? Do you simply just text your team members to come help you with these more visually demanding tasks, or do they come out with you to their flat? How do you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What happens is I support two guys. It's like one big house, and it's been split into two different sections. So it's me with one person, and then there's a second member of staff on with the other person. So there's always two members of staff on in this one house. So if I ever need to ask a question or need that wee bit help, there's always somebody there, that's on hand that can come and assist me or give a second opinion. Um,
Hmm. Hmm. I greatly appreciate you doing that work. That is work that many people would be intimidated by,
mm,
and you do that really well. I think that's a really important thing to to be caring and to just be helpful and to do the best you can do. And
yeah,
that's that's really good.
yeah. And
I
obviously, as I
Yeah.
said as well, like because I do suffer with my own like visual impairment and low vision, I can I have some sort of understanding
Mm-hmm.
with the people that I support because
Sure.
obviously they have no vision, I have some vision. So I can kind of understand what it's like for them, which is also good.
Hmm. Hmm. Oh, so and how did you find out about this particular position?
Just went online and I was looking for a job and just went online and searched for jobs and I seen that job and I applied and I was successful in getting the job. So yep.
Okay, well, that's great. And your coworkers are they also blind themselves, or are they sighted?
No, they're all sighted.
Oh, okay. Well, that's really cool. And the better or an equally good question is, so how did those sighted people get into it? Are they social workers? Are they people who are interested in disability issues?
Yeah,
What do you think?
they're just people that want to want to help others and want to
Hmm.
support people, that are
We need more of those. Well, we need more of those people these days, huh?
mhm. Um
I'm curious. I mean, we do not know each other, but I'm curious. Maybe in the future, if one of those people, one of those sighted coworkers, would want to come on this program
hmm,
and tell our audience about what they do, because I greatly appreciate people who are caring
mhm.
and do the right thing. If,
Yep.
if in our world today, if one person cares even the tiniest bit, that makes all the difference in the world, you know.
Yeah, no,
Or as I
definitely.
was, yesterday, man, I was reaching out to a new manager, basically someone who's starting a new radio station and is considering putting Aaron's Opinion on there as the debut program.
Hmm.
And you at home, of course, I'm not going to tell you when that's coming. That's obviously kind of a secret. We got to keep you listening. We got to keep you on the edge of your seat for that. But I one thing that I said, and my other managers and people I've been working with have believed, is in podcasting and in education, if you help only one person, you really just helped a million others. So you're helping two
Mhm.
blind people who also happen to be deaf. Well, you're basically helping 2 million other blind people who are in similar situations all over the world, you know?
Mhm.
So that's really cool. In a minute here, when we come back from the break, I want in this minute when we pause, I want you to be thinking about some of the things that you've been saying in your YouTube videos. Your
Yep.
first one,
Mhm.
your second one where you did a
Mhm.
great job, And
Mhm.
then your third one, which I admit I didn't watch, where you talked about the cane.
Yeah.
So let me just tell you, we're going to talk about that in a minute.